If you say the Lord of the Rings movie, it's the classic work of the four great Western classics. This movie is the top, the unmatched history of Asian cinema. This film will satisfy your visual senses, because every shot and scene design, they are all full of special art. It combines the grandeur of a heroic scene with this intense portrayal of love, and every frame is as beautiful as a wonderland. Start with me on an immersive journey to experience this epic masterpiece. The story begins when an old woman with a small child into a fast-flowing river. Her body was swept away by the current. Fast forward to the deep water. A small branch give the woman a ray of hope, and try to hold on to it to stabilize yourself. She waited for 10 hours, but no one came to the rescue. The water's rising and she's about to be completely submerged. When you know you have no chance of survival, she looked up at the high falls and prayed, Shivagami, if death is the only salvation you want, death will take you in exchange for your safety. Young with one hand, she put the crying child on her head. With all my strength, even when the body is stiff. Finally the rays of the sun hit the baby, and the cry caught the attention of the surrounding villagers. The child was safely rescued by the man, and the old woman's body slowly drifted along the river. It flowed from the man's words. They learned that the old lady dressed like a queen. A couple without children decided to adopt the baby, and named the boy Shiva. Time flies like a waterfall. Shiva grows up. It's not like your peers. You're always staring at the waterfall. Shiva longed for the day when he could climb to the top of the belief that there's another world above the waterfall. Shiva's mother threatened you with stories about cannibalistic demons to stop your thinking. When parents are away, Shiva always secretly goes to the bottom of the waterfall. He was scolded by his mother and dragged home every time he was discovered. But Shiva never gave up the desire. The world in my heart. Day by day, Shiva's climbing skills are getting better and better. Time passes quickly. You are now a teenager. Abundant energy, and easily climb the slippery stone walls without ever getting tired. Shiva faces a new challenge today. I want to jump over a 50-meter cliff to the other side. I try to reach for a tree, but he slipped and fell from the sky many times. But I still don't choose to give up. Because of Shiva's dangerous behavior, his adoptive mother is very worried. He invited a priest from the village to perform a ritual to change Shiva through magic. The priest told her that if they poured 1,000 buckets of water into the sacred object, will guide Shiva along the right path. To prevent my mother from getting tired, Shiva performed an amazing act. With my healthy shoulders, he picked up a 1D lingam. Then Shiva took the lingam and jumped into the water. With a gentle and dignified demeanor, he put the lingam underneath the waterfall and baptized it with a constant stream of water. Until one day, a wooden mask washed away from the waterfall. This convinced Shiva that there's another world above the waterfall. It's because of this mask that Shiva encountered a significant change in the trajectory of my life. I put a mask on the sand and magically recreate the face of a beauty. You use a tree to add long hair to the face. Create the image of a beautiful fairy to captivate people's hearts. Deep inside, Shiva feels a soul calling from above the waterfall. The Tapa told the king that this warrior came only for the Princess king was glad to see this as a good time. An urgent letter from the kingdom of Mahismati flew into the hands of Bahupali. You open it up and read its contents. Your face immediately turned pale. Turns out you just killed an AI from your own country. Ordered Bahupali, after 25 singles, arrest the princess and bring her back for questioning. This princess pulled out her sword and asked who he was. Princess banged the torch on Bali's outerwear, cause it to immediately reveal the golden armor. That only the strongest warriors qualified to climb the waterfall. When I saw this scene, everybody put down their weapons. Bali believes that Queen Shivagami wants to marry her princess. The rejection of marriage proposals before that was the reason. The queen ordered the arrest of the princess. Bahupali believes this is just a misunderstanding. Solve the problem by explaining to the queen to discover the unknown. I pray to the princess back to the Mahismati kingdom with me to clarify everything. Bahupali guarantees based on its integrity, I will protect the princess forever. The next day, princess dress up gorgeous. Prepare to meet your future parents. Accidentally the princess stumbled into upon Bahupali planks, a graceful dancer, ready to be a bridge for the princess. Is like the taste of love. Together they set out for the Mahismati kingdom. A boat like a white swan, across the river of chaos and through the clouds, leads straight to heaven. Not long after, the big ship has crossed the high seas and into the borders of Mahismati. The princess was surprised. Enchanted appears in front of Shiva. Before this magnificent architecture, the heavy palace door opens slowly. Bahupali leads princess face with Queen Shivagami. I'm so sorry about previous insulting behavior. Yours for the queen. The queen's words broke
and
the
the whole
deadlock.
hall immediately.
I laughed then. The queen asked Princess Devachina to return. She
The
sings
future
and smiles
husband.
at him. Princess happily steps towards Bahupali. People are stunned. The queen immediately stopped the princess. Turns out Queen Sivagami Baladinva was chosen as the princess's husband, not the man you deeply love. And suddenly the atmosphere became very mysterious. The Tapa immediately stepped forward to make it all right. Under great temptation, he rushed towards the beautiful girl. Say that. Both he and Bahupali misunderstood the situation and decided to marry Princess Jobangladeva, Princess Devachina, and confront Queen Shivagami. The queen ordered her followers to arrest the princess. Bahupali defied orders to step forward past the test. For the first time in my life. You're against the one who raised you. This made the queen very angry. At that moment the father came forward and forced Bahupali to choose between the throne and Princess Devachina. Bahupali decided to give up the throne. The queen immediately announced in front of everyone, "Jump to the other side. Baladeva will be crowned in a grand ceremony in the square. 20 white horse pulled by plaza." Bahupali is a general clearing the way for the king. He shouted slogans along the crowd to show the highest respect. In the square, Baladeva wore the long-awaited crown and formally proclaimed the takeover of the kingdom of Mahismati. Fairy disappears one trace. At the same time, Queen gives Bahupali the title of general. Suddenly the cheers for from the crowd that crossed the Baladeva, with passionate cries, "Long live Bahupali!" The growing noise shook the ground. Even the elephants also pay homage to Bahupali. The king's sun visor suddenly collapsed. Follow in the footsteps of the fairies and set it firmly on the throne. Demonstrate the presence of your commander. In the evening, Baladeva looked at the crown and got angry. He doesn't have the power of the throne at all. It's like it's made specifically for Bahupali. He instigated him to get rid of Bahupali. He is now sitting on the throne. The real power is in the hands of the queen, and come under the waterfall. He plans to use the queen to get rid of after Princess Devachina became pregnant. People give gifts and pray for peace. You take this opportunity. Laladeva came and took care of his wife to remove Bahupali's shogunate. No arguing. You immediately follow orders. Princess Devasena burst into like a fairy. Why do you ignore such gratuitous excuses? She even made a bold statement in front of her. People hope that Bahupali will ascend the throne according to the will of the situation that caused the crowd to disperse. The princess became the victim of the next general. He ordered all the women to be tested before entering the palace, smiling back to Shiva and leading him to climb higher. And he reached out when it's Devasena definitively cut off his fingers. This was part of King Ba's cunning plan as an excuse to arrest Princess Sivagami. In the middle of their argument, Bahupali entered the palace holding a large sword. The princess told her husband everything. I immediately killed the inmate. I am encouraged by your presence. This act shocked everyone. The king was angry that Bahupali is challenging his authority of his wife and maintained you have to do that. It's the right decision. Queen Sivagami flared in anger at him. Wrong judgment. It must be the king himself. Then the queen lowered their royal status. You've reached new heights. And civilians. And banished them from the palace for treason. Bahupali not controversial. Instead, with his pregnant wife leaving the palace. After being expelled from the palace, you come to the people to work and make a living. But no matter where you go, it's easy to get trust and support. They exchange loving eyes and chase each other. You've worked with ordinary people. Share a meal. And use your intelligence to improve the lives of. Give them as long as Bahupali's alive. King Baladeva sees you as a threat. On one night, he's in the palace and orchestrating he cut his face with a knife between the waterfall. Closed it. Imprint of Kumar. It's the mark of the country. Princess Sivagami and Baladeva told the queen that Bahupali and Devasena are trying. The queen listened to them and decided to get rid of Bahupali. However, the reputation of Bahupali if you remove it publicly, there will be a rebellion. Quickly moving through the forest on Leo's road. Do not provoke an uprising. The queen has called on the faithful Tapa. You will be on a mission to kill Bahupali. As he grew up, he was shocked and knelt down. Please don't do that to the queen. He believed that the Bahupali would never rebel. The queen has decided he didn't want with boundless courage and spirit. He drew his sword and wanted only the queen while to grant Bahupali is nervous, waiting for the birth of your child. Suddenly there was news. The Tapas were taken into the forest to be executed. In spite of the queen's orders. On the one hand, the baby is about to be born. And on one side is the man you call father. Beahupali torn between the two sides. His wife agreed that Beahupali should go rescue the Tapa. I quickly rode to the forest and immediately rescued. The Tapas are being tortured trying to free him from his chains. Before you understand the situation, the arrows suddenly hit him from behind. He was hit by a series of arrows from all harm. With my own body, he used his sword to cut off all the arrows on his back. He carried Theo the Tapa to escape, although seriously injured. But I won't let the enemy hurt the Tapas. As long as you have breath. After freeing the Tapa from shackles, alone faced the incoming enemy. He picked up a big iron chain, kill a large number of enemies in a merciless way. Then, although Shiva has always loved to climb mountains, the iron hook where there's 10 enemy carcasses hanging from it. You burn trees and burn your enemies. When the tree fell on the grass, the fire rushed towards the enemy. The leader of the enemy wielding the double sword used to tricks that are easy to defeat. Herpali is still fighting fiercely with the enemy, the Tapa wielding a great sword. But I never got to the top. Slowly coming from behind, by the queen's strict orders, he stabbed Bahupali's body. When you turn to the person you trust, Bahupali, I can't believe it. With tearful eyes, the Tapas embraced Bahupali and told me the truth. However, he did not resent the Tapas and him to take care of my mother. This time with the inspiration of fairies, I reached for the sword to the ground and head to the sky and scream. Then, Bahupali leaned on the hill brother and left this world. He was hiding in the dark, slowly coming out. He slashed Bahupali's body several times. He had planned now. You've reached unprecedented heights. Finally realized that cheated on everyone. The Tapa returned to the palace, dragging under the blood-stained sword of Queen Sivagami. When I heard this news, she was struck by lightning. The Tapa, he always showed respect for the queen. This time, using the Liu ropes on the tree, he accused her of a serious crime. He told her that, even in the dying moments of life, I don't care about my wife. He only cares about his mother. Sivagami was shocked by the truth. She shed tears of regret. Princess Dracena hugging her newborn also baby. To the palace. When I heard that my husband died, you've built a rope, she immediately fell to the ground. Balala Deva and her father also approached Queen Mother. He urged her to kill the child to avoid further trouble, but she now understands everything. Of course not to listen to the slander of her status as queen. Baq down in front of Princess Devachina to confess with a powerful jump and an archery shot. The people who had gathered outside the palace were the queen to explain. Sivagami holds the baby on the balcony. She lifted the baby up in front of the crowd and announced that a new king had been born. The loyal general the Tapa put the baby's small feet on his head. As a sign of loyalty, the queen immediately ordered the arrest of the traitor. And with perseverance, Bailadeva, but to her surprise, he bought it all. The Tapa immediately grabbed the 1,000-pound gate to make way for the queen to escape. He instructed the princess to leave her palace. But the princess had just given birth to a baby. To be a burden, and you don't regret it. Shiva finally reached the top of the tower he had always dreamed of. As long as your child is safe. Soon the Tapas were overwhelmed by the soldiers. The queen carried the baby through an underground passage, motivated by the desire for power, and the bow at his own mother. From a distance of 100 meters, an arrow stabbed her in the back, and fall into the river, hugging the child who was drifting down a fast-flowing river. With my nephew, when you touch the fairies, and with my stiff body, she lifted the child high above the water. The child was saved in the years adopted by the local villagers and Princess Devachina. Bunlarladeva chained at the square for 25 years. Back to the present, everything Tapa told Siva. When Siva knows her life, she suddenly turned into butterflies and red eyes and expressed anger. Then Shiva stood up and claimed that Bahupali had returned and vowed to overthrow the ruler, a dictator, to avenge his father. I want to reclaim the throne that belongs to me. I want to restore dignity to the mother, being tormented by his own. The new king. Shiva ventures everywhere in search of fairies. Bahupali has begun to embark on the path of vengeance. King Baladeva deployed 20,000 cavalry to confront the Siva. Shiva's shot. An arrow into the coconut tree triggers a trap. All the cavalry coming. The Tapas are hiding in ambush. Led his army into a furious attack. Both sides are close. Suddenly a woman was being chased by soldiers. Siva holding a giant log, relentlessly smashing it towards the enemy. At that moment the enemy's whistle sounded. The low forward and cutting machine, shooting arrows at soldiers like a rainstorm. He got off the horse, Take a rope and go straight to Princess Devachina. After 25 his fighting ability has not declined. He caught Devachina and took her away. Appear in your eyes. Siva, who is still fighting. I realized that my mother had been arrested. Her. Siva shoots an arrow at the Bainalava, but he caught it and stomped on Shiva's mother. His chariot rushed into the city gate, and it's closed. Shiva stood on his horse and galloped towards the gate. He was hit in the chest by an arrow. Shiva followed to find out what is going on. The enemy continues. He fired another series of arrows at me. Shiva is insane and unable to control himself. The top arrived just in time to use his shield, stop the attacks, and told Shiva not to act impulsively. You have to think like your father. Now, the only way to win is through strategic planning. Under the guidance of the Tapa, the girl led the soldiers to a wide swamp. Shiva calmed down. Look at the tall coconut tree to plan. Shiva told the slaves to pull and bend down the coconut tree. Then a group of 6 people holding hands cut the rope and fly towards the ramparts. They landed safely with shields. Others do it the same way and began to expand the walls. This trick broke down the defenses, the gate of the enemy that they didn't know about. Shiva killed every guard with his shield and his great sword. More soldiers continue to storm the walls. Shiva uses the shield as a pedal. Quickly destroy 5 enemies. Then he jumps to the middle of the gate and grab a sledgehammer to break the tree's chain. With the gate opened, he immediately rode to the square to rescue my mother. Shiva told the girl to light the fire on his mother's head and take her to the temple. Shiva with shield challenges King Banladeva. You jump in. Number of arrows and destroy the chariot's cutter. They both throw at the same time. Exceptional power makes Banladeva fall. Organized by the tribe of the woman. In fury, I changed my hairstyle and wield the ultimate weapon. The hammer struck Shiva in close combat and fired the spark. After a violent clash, Shiva's sword was broken. Baladeva locks the chain around Shiva's throat and hang him high on the statue. Shiva broke the statue with his hands. Free yourself from bondage. Baladeva dealt a huge blow to Shiva's back. Make you bleed. Shiva pulled up a big tree and took it. Banged right in the head Baladeva. Then you both drop your weapons and start fighting. Gold suddenly began to collapse due to the violent shaking. They both fell on their heads. Through the hallway and into the Ganges. Shiva kicked a kick that made him fly and brutally exterminate the pursuers. Baladeva throw away the armor to reveal a grim face and muscular physique. The two collide again. Soon after Shiva was tried to pluck out Shiva's heart to endure the pain. Shiva got out of the grip. He was kicked 10 meters away. Shiva tried to stand up and picked up the big iron chain on the ground. Use the chain. Shiva hidden from behind. I've tied my mother up for 25 years so he doesn't miss. And then Baladeva was completely safe by a 1,000-pound iron punch. You used an iron chain to tie him up and threw him in a pile of wood. Shiva jumped up and stabbed him throws sacred fire on the wood that she's been picking up for the last 25 years. Become infatuated. Shiva has regained success, his rightful throne. And my mother crowned me. Under the rule of Shiva, the kingdom of Mahismati entered this scene is over. The movie is gone today. See you all later. Bye-bye. With the girl's brave fighting posture. When the girl is about to finish off an enemy but accidentally realized that the tribe's wrists are on his neck. Through questioning they learned that they entered their palace with the intention of rescuing a woman named Devachina. And they killed her. I haven't finished yet. The angry woman continues to follow them to a cave. The woman said to the chief about the death of my friend. And from their conversation learned that the woman's name was Avenika. This group is made up of remnants of Kutala kingdom. Has been destroyed. Before that, Shiva finds 7 lost masks at the waterfall. Shiva learns that the princess of their country is Devachina, who was imprisoned 35 in the kingdom of Mahismati. In those 35 years the princess was the glory of the Kutala treated like an tarnished. And this tribe has replaced they'd rescue the princess as long as they had the general of Tapas. He was a strong warrior. He was the queen's personal bodyguard. Ever since Princess Devachina was as a slave there about to meet the perfect opportunity. Kingdom of Mahi. Smati are celebrating the birthday of their king. Baladeva. This would be the best time to rescue the princess, Avenika, by the lake. Put your injured hand in the water and a small swim to clean your wounds. It made her relax and fall into a deep sleep. Shiva, you swim under the lake and take out a paintbrush and gently tattoo the motifs on her hands. But when Avenika woke up, she didn't go back to the tribe. And today, The chief gave her a new mission. As soon as the chief is ready, set the rules for you. He noticed the flowers on his arm and yelled at her for prioritizing beauty over her vows. Not knowing about the situation, Avenica feels 7 hope. Then the chief prepares the mission for others. She grabbed the sheet and shed a tear in his hand. And your determination. It made the chief rethink. Avenica returns to the shore to find the mysterious man. Tell your friend to lie on the shore. And she ambushed with her bow nearby. But from behind, Shiva puts a blue snake on the girl's shoulder. It makes you dare not move. And then he quietly put a pen to her body. You still don't know. When you come back to check around, Shiva is gone. The Avatar returns with his team, but damn it, there's another tattoo on her arm. Avenica KO. And follow in Shiva's footsteps to a snowy area to shoot an arrow. Fortunately, Shiva is agile enough to avoid a fatal set up a trap with a tree's branches. Avenica is enraged and trapped by Shiva. He was attacked by the girl from behind, facing the woman I love. Shiva doesn't care about the wound. Smile on her lips. Shiva told you that. I came for the woman behind the mask, but you don't believe in Shiva's nonsense. They wrestled and fell down the snowy mountain, but he quickly took off her armor. When you attack again, Monday. Shiva locked her up and hugged her waist to wash her face under the waterfall. Then he took a handful of fruit. Crush and apply it to the lips of the Avenica. I have eyeliner for the girl. Then use your blood to put it on your forehead. I finally pulled the dress. Wrap and turn it into a sexy half-skirt. Under the silent waterfall, Avenica was amazed at her own beauty. You've never been so charming. When Avenica comes back, Shiva pulled out the mask she had lost. Aggressive girl. She has now turned into a woman, tender and lovely. Under the nourishment of love, they loved each other and hugged each other. And danced together. It's a traditional Japanese dance. Know that you carry a heavy responsibility. And did not want to bring danger to Shiva. Avenica used it to make Shiva faint. Then you get involved alone. Exploration to the kingdom of the princess. On the way, Avenica fell into ambush by soldiers. As soon as the soldier checked on her, whether you are a virgin or not, it is a strong hand, grabbing the soldier's throat from behind. And when the other soldiers get close, Shiva forcibly dragged one of them off the horse. You pushed the tough black horse, directly overwhelmed the entire army. Shiva immediately destroyed the remaining enemies. Right then, a large number of enemies appear from afar, chasing up a snowy slope, and there's no way to escape. It's unfortunate. Avatar was hit by a long-range attack. I can't get up from the snow. In the midst of danger, Shiva used all her strength to topple a giant causing rock, a violent shock, and it suddenly caused an avalanche, completely blow up the enemy. Then Shiva broke a piece of bark as a makeshift and snowboard to quickly escape the disaster. They're racing with death, and quickly moved through the snowy mountains. At a cliff, they successfully jumped to the other side, escaped from the girl avalanche, reveals her mission to Shiva. Your mission is also your responsibility. And his mission. Shiva has taken on the mission of Avenica and decided to take her on a mission. On the other side of Mahasmati kingdom, this man is the strongest man in the country. Power and power. Today, he decided to challenge a fierce bull in front of everyone. With an angry roar, he grabs the bull's horn. Then he held his breath and grabbed his nose, overpower the bull powerfully, and knock it to the ground. Won the praise and cheers from everyone present. But the bull doesn't want to accept 7 defeats. It's out of control. And run into him again, and immediately jump up. Make a hammer with both hands, killing the bull with one blow. It turns out he's Beliva, king of the kingdom of Mahasmati. Under his strong rule, the kingdom of Mahasmati grows and flourishes. Behind it is a place of suffering and misery. Every month, ordinary people in the kingdom, forced to pay tribute. And AIS that can't afford it, they will be beaten and turned into slaves. The dictator is torturing sister-in-law. He's been locked up for 35 years. Every day in a public square, he looked down full of sin. And when he faced the bull, you don't care about your life, courage to protect the king. When you see loyalty, unshakable of the Tapa, the king decided to reward him. But you just hope that the king will show mercy with the woman in the square and set her free. I hear that. In anger, The king gave him a sword and tell him that death would be the best escape for that woman. It turns out that the Thapas were loyal twisted to the previous king, Deva 25 the woman years in the ago. Square. She is Princess Devachina. She was the wife of the previous king as a royal guard. The Tapa always devoted to Princess Devachina, and even when I was a slave, his loyalty to the previous king still hasn't changed. During the 35 years she was imprisoned, she focused on one thing, is picking up branches on the ground every day and put them in a hole. No one knows what she's going to do with this. At night the Tapa came to the square with the intention for the princess. She was sure her son would come to her rescue. Siva, son of Princess Devachina, I came outside the city on a horse. He jumped into the water and swam under the wall. Skillfully he crossed the wall and entered the palace. Princess Devachina looked up at the sky and felt that the time had come. The whole country will celebrate the birthday of King. The king does not regret money, creating a giant statue in gold SCG in the Great Square. Everyone was singing and dancing so enthusiastically. Countless slaves used all their strength to build the golden statue. Siva covered his face in the crowd and also just came as the golden statue was about to be erected. An exhausted old slave collapsed, caused a chain reaction. Many others also fell. The slaves were completely overwhelmed by the weight. Tilted. It would cause serious damage if it fell. At the time of birth and death, a solid character has grabbed the rope and by his own power has stabilized the giant golden statue. All the slaves expressed their gratitude forces to pull the vertical statue back. A wind blows the veil over the man's face, and old slaves, shocked by this man's face, because he looks so much like their old king, began to call out the name even of the when they're beaten by soldiers. Even the onlookers shouted names with a passionate voice. To cover up the awkwardness, the band started playing the golden music statue by the relentless efforts of slaves. But King Balalva stood on high. I can't feel the joy anymore. He's destroyed by a mixture of burning anger. On that night, the king summoned all the guards to the palace, asking them about how the AI has started chanting from between silence and fear. A brave individual in the group comes speaking up. He knocked over a nearby coal stove and quickly. That familiar look. Nate King Baladeva seems to be seen by the silhouette. He ordered the gate to be closed to capture this man alive. Shiva jumped down from the large number of soldiers chasing him. Russian Deva's princess becomes excited when she realized that the son she'd been waiting for quickly came to her rescue. After 25 years, Shiva quickly came to the princess. Shiva picked up the chain and put down all the guards in front of her. Shiva did not know that the woman in front of her is her own mother. He was merely helping his lover on a mission to rescue her princess. I carried the princess in the carriage and fast forward to the main Prince gate. Barusu, tell the Tapa to take this man alive. He led an ambush outside the city. The guards burned the bundles of hay to block the gate. However, the fire hazard can't stop the progress. Shiva's non-stop guards. They set up an ambush outside the city, waiting for Shiva to arrive. When Shiva gets close, was hit by the trap into the mud, and the soldier knocked him unconscious. When Shiva woke up, Princess Devachina covered his face. And you're all under the control of Prince Baroyu. I saw him humiliating Princess Devachina. A strange woman. Makes me feel an ineffable closeness. Too angry. Shiva tried to escape but he was stabbed. I'm angry. Grabbed the attacker's leg and with his him like a dog. You beat the rest. His knees. And control Prince Buju the Tapa. He came and saved the prince. The general engaged in a fierce battle. He was on par with Shiva VF the remnants of the kingdom of Kutala come to support them. And they found that Princess Devachina the two sides are rescued. Chaos and clashes with each other. Shiva he took the old man's sword and decapitated Prince Baroyu. Everyone present was amazed at this sight. Thunder filled the sky accompanied by a violent storm. Old man the Tapa definitively laid down arms to prepare deadly weapons. He wanted revenge for Prince Baroyu as he rushed forward. And seeing Shiva's face clearly, he immediately dropped his weapon and knelt before him. He shouted the name Bahupali. When I heard that name, everyone present also knelt down. Shiva stood dazed in place. Then the Tapa lifts one of Shiva's legs up and put it on my head, an act that signals eternal loyalty. 9 of who's just as he did when he was a child. Shiva knows nothing about his life, and suddenly you're respected as a god. The Tapas told Shiva everything. Turns out from a young age, Shiva was made king of the kingdom by his grandmother. Magnus dies however in a rebellion. Your grandmother was shot with arrows and forced to flee into the river and sacrificed his life to ensure Shiva's safety. You were the people in the village, rescue and nourishment. And it all started with this rebellion. After Shiva's grandfather died, Queen Shivagami assumed the role of regent. She was extremely smart and ruled the kingdom in a very good way. No one is willing to accept who is their ruler. Soon, Shivagami's brother conspired to claim the throne. Queen Shivagami to the regent's room and holding Bahupali in your arms. At that time, there were only a few individuals who stood the queen's control with formidable power and his unwavering protected loyalty. Members of the royal family. The rebel leader has ordered his closure of the tapa. Without knowing that, they were bribed by Queen Shivagami. In a fit of anger, he grabbed his sword and run into the queen. But the queen killed him with a single blow. From this point forward, Shivagami has taken control. Because Bahupali lost her parents as a child, Queen Shivagami decided to raise him with my own child. Is Bialaladiva. Under the care of Queen Shivagami, you both grew up together. They gradually display opposite personalities. He is kind and the lower classes and slaves, so you've won their hearts. Queen Shivagami regards fairness her and impartiality. Baladeva shows outstanding martial arts strength, but he lacks compassion for the people. You're cruel and indifferent to their suffering. They both have the same skills about art and war. To decide who's going to be king, the queen decided to create a challenging competition to determine the rightful heir. Before you can make a decision, the queen is facing a new crisis. Her trusted advisor was Saketuzu to sneak into the palace to prevent the leakage of confidential information. The queen sent to princes to capture in neighboring countries. When the prince cornered the Saketuzu on a cliff, pigeons to send military secrets to the enemy. Bahupali has no intention. Give him a chance to kill himself and jump in to catch him. Motivated by his evil intentions. So he decided to release the rope with the intention of killing them both. The knot is stuck in the rock and doesn't fall. The guy above is going to cut the rope. But a group of guards came. I had to pull Bahupali up. Under the interrogations of the tapas, they know that Saketuzu sold the secret to King Conchias. Once they invade the kingdom, they will slaughter innocent people. Moreover, their army's number in the hundreds of thousands, 5,000 soldiers. King Kanjias led the giant army 100,000 to the borders of the kingdom. Midas is dead. A great battle is about to happen. Queen Shivagami with her about how to face the enemy. Prince Bahupali boldly proposed using the Biennial strategy. A strategy that's only written in books, but it's never been used before. After considering, the queen accepted this decision. The whole group gathered together to simulate the 5,000 soldiers to attack forming an impenetrable wall of steel with their shield armor and spears. Then, two princes will lead cavalry to attack the leader of the enemy. And the commanders came up with the head of the enemy leader will become king. Solve the queen's problem in choosing a successor. Queen Shivagami. He decided to divide the rest of the army equally between the two princes. However, the cunning father of the Bangladeva has secretly reallocated troops all the crossbows and a good chariot for my own son. The battle begins, and the whole force with was under the wall. A symbolic statue of the sacred Shivagami. They were also taken to the battlefield. The monks also recited the sutras before the war. Before the battle begins, they perform the traditional sacrifice ritual. Balaladeva carrying a large sword, ready to stretch the fresh blood of a bull for the sacred statue. When it was Bahupali's turn, told him that if he kill the cow, that's going to lead to bad points. Instead, he sacrificed his own blood to the statue. Acts of kindness and generosity from the people present. They sent ambassadors to negotiate before the war because of their profanity, and she ordered the princes to take the ambassadors alive and torture him. The whistle goes off and the battle is about to begin. Ready. The spear and the iron shield to build a solid aggressive and savage enemies galloping forward. They only sent 30,000 elite troops. It also sowed fear in my heart. Force of Mahismati. By order of Bangladeva, 10,000 arrows dropped. Kill a number of enemy soldiers. The enemy army is large and growing. They continue to attack us. The Bahupali side commands the use of stonemasons to throw. It doesn't cause any damage. Turns out it's a decoy. You cleverly tie the giant stones into a giant red cloth and launch it towards the enemy's front lines. Magnificent sight. It surprised everyone. The moment the red cloth fell to the ground, it directly covers all soldiers on the front quickly lines. In every direction, and dispersed the smell of gasoline with a knife. But Beahupali lit the red cloth with the enemy in a sea of fire, causing countless casualties. Using the same method, they burn more enemies. The enemy commander launches a second attack. The formation has been prepared. Be ready and stand firm. General Commander. The Tapa built a shield line in front. Face the onslaught of 100,000 soldiers. But the enemy is much larger. Know that. The enemy's crossing the line of defense. It's just a matter of time. Now they can only keep the line and buy more time for the princes to guard. Both sides of the enemy. Both sides are on the front line. The 2 soldiers are about to face who captures the leader's head. He will be crowned and sit on a throne. Despite the Prince Baladeva is extremely confident. He led the attack on the line of 5 with the iron lead. On the right side, Prince Behupali holding hammer in the right hand and the sword in the left hand also plunged into the line, sowing fear into the hearts of the ferocious opponents standing in front of your skills. But immediately eat a spear of Beahupali. People nearby were all blown away by his powerful attack. The Baladeva side. No one can match your lead, General. The Tapa immediately ordered the deployment of the formation. Jailand echoes. And the flag of the kingdom of princes noticed the orders immediately rushed towards the enemy leader. Behupali riding on a rudimentary horse. You use your 2 spears and slaughter countless enemies on the way. And the BLKDVA is well equipped with serrated motor. You're going straight to the leader. The enemy sees 7 defeats coming, so we have to resort to cunning. They push the hostages forward. As a shield, Behupali, who came to the front line, immediately ordered to stop the attack. However, the actions of Baladeva on the opposite side completely. To get ahead of Behupali, he defies safety. Killed his own people too. It's a horrible and Behupali came up with a clever plan. Order the soldiers to tie the hostages with stone chains. Force them to kneel on the ground. Then he led the charge into the 5 enemy lines to rescue a boy. In the midst of a chaotic battle, shield formation of the was violently attacked by the enemy and finally punctured. With an overwhelming number of enemies they can't resist. And the flag of the kingdom of Mahismati was replaced by the enemy's flag for the first time. They see the banner of the enemy flying over their country. It symbolizes destruction and impending death. Behupali observe ominous signs from a distance. Running alone. The sign of death causes the spirit to collapse. And all the soldiers started to retreat and run away. Them. And raise their fighting spirit. Once again the Tapa raised the enemy's body to the flag in the distance. He holds the spear and rides a horse straight to the leader of the enemy. Baladeva noticed Beahupali is leading. Quickly accelerate with your machine. The enemy immediately forms a human barrier. But Behupali broke it with a giant stone, swung by a hook. And Behupali overturned the rider with an enemy leader. As soon as Behupali arrived at the scene, just in time to defeat the enemy, you make a perfect flip, crushing the soul of your opponent. The leader used the bodies of the soldiers as a weapon to throw them in Beahupali, buried under a pile of bodies. Immediately the bodies flew to the side. Then Behupali, holding the golden lion's head in his hand, strode resolutely towards the golden lion's head. Crashed against him. It finally clamped down on his head. To see this scene, all the leader started of the enemy was defeated, and the spirit of the soldiers soared. I'm going to take his head. Then Baladeva comes from behind and kill him first. And this move was seen by Queen Sivagami. The enemy was defeated and the battle ended. Dad is excited. Raise your hand to the sky and celebrate victory. But Queen Sivagami witnessed the whole process and make a definitive judgment. She immediately announced that Baladeva, your decision has touched the hearts of people. Immediately, thousands of people burst out cheering in joy, celebrate and shout the name Behupali back to present the Tapa. He told Shiva that King Behupali, your father, was killed by you, and make Saukatapa faithfully do this again. Stay with me for part 2. Keep going back to the past. When Bahubali was then trying to quench her thirst by the lake on the bottom of the lake, he decided to investigate in the nearby kingdom of Kutal. It turns out that a large group of the bandits from the rebellious forest, the most beautiful woman in the area. As soon as the bandits approached the princess grabbed a veil to cover the view of the enemy and stabbed a robber to death. When the white veil is lifted, her charming eyes has mesmerized the heart of Bahubali. This is the first time I feel mesmerized and attracted to a woman. In that moment, I've come up with a name for my son. I swore I would marry this girl. The Tapa standing next to also see through the mind of Bahupali. To get closer to the princess, you go into the forest and quickly deal with the robbers in pursuit. In the heart, I swore I could dig mountains and cover the sea. Soon the princess calmed down the small battle. The local villagers came to express their gratitude for fear of being revealed to people hiding in the crowd. See them strong but still hiding behind women's backs. Princess Devachena feels ashamed for them. The Tapa immediately lied that Bahupali is his nephew with intellectual disability. You've been deported by your family and there's nowhere to go. Feel sorry for the boy. The princess decided to train him to make you a good soldier. The princess is very good at martial arts. If you try to shoot many arrows, you will lose 7. Cousin volunteered to teach martial arts for Bahupali. Decided to teach free swordsmanship when the princess came to see. Kumara demonstrates her ability as a teacher. Princess Dina knows what he's capable of. Immediately ridiculed when Kumara taught Bahupali how to swing a sword. But he watched the princess's back leave. Accidentally cut the wood in half. Kumara was shocked. And Kappa immediately praised his innate strength. The princess came running. But he also trusted his brother. Kappa advised Bahupali to reveal his identity, not to get into much trouble. In the small kingdom, turns out Bahupali is the heir to the throne. According to the customs of the king had to visit the small kingdom alone and find out the situation there before the coronation. The next day to confirm, see if Kumara's martial arts skills are improving. The princess decided to take him to the countryside. Bahupali secretly held the camera's arrow. Won the prey before the princess. After the contest is over, Princess Day, more suspicious of this princess, goes in front of Bahupali and pretends to stumble with one hand. The princess quickly realized that Bahupali is not a normal person. To test you, the princess ordered to bring a bull. Bahupali dropped his weapon and tried to let it fly away. The princess came to check on his condition. Bahupali pretended to be seriously injured in the palace. The best doctor comes to treat you. The Tapa pulls you straight in the arms of the princess. The feeling of love welled up in them. But Bahupali didn't know. Your Baladeva brother. They are plotting to take the throne. He gave the snake track every action of Bahupali and gave him the portrait of Princess Hasina. He was fascinated by this charming beauty. Approached Queen to propose to the League. I feel guilty for not giving him the Queen throne. Sivagami is willing to accept the next day. Royal envoys came to the small a magnificent array of gold and silver to propose to Princess Devachena. Face of Dario Choe. The princess is still unmoved. She didn't just firmly reject the marriage proposal, but also answered the arrogant angel. The princess sent a letter. Reply to Queen Sivagami in a fierce way. Your words insulted Queen Sivagami. She immediately declared war on the kingdom. The father of Baladeva. I advise the queen not to be so strong. And send a message to Bahupali. Order me to arrest Princess Devachena. Take her back to be punished. But Bahupali mistakenly thought that the queen is arranging her marriage. And overjoyed. Just when you're filled with happiness. The sound of the enemy approaching. Little Kumtala. He hurried towards the princess's room, but was stopped by Kumar. The enemy invasion is approaching. I don't have time to explain. He immediately grabbed a carriage and threw it at the enemy. This action amazes Kumar. A large number of enemies are coming in from outside, and the Tapa fought together. You are brave to destroy them. In the midst of a crisis, the king and his followers no longer hide their identities. The princess is sleeping, suddenly awakened by the sound of an alarm. And countless armed enemies have broken into the palace, but the princess was not afraid. If you pull a bow, as soon as the guy has to fall down, 4 arrows simultaneously shoot out from behind. The person to help her is Bahupali. You've always been stupid. Suddenly showed great bravery. The princess's eyes expressed admiration. In the meantime, you taught the princess the art of shooting 3 arrows. At the same time as their synchrony destroyed a large number of enemies. Outside, a group of bulls burning on their heads drove down from the mountain. The 100,000 strong invasion army was dispersed. The enemy is trying to avoid the herd. The shoulder of Bali. You jump on the backs of the cows and then comes up and landed in reverse. The commander ordered them to the top of the mountain, with right hand holding rope with iron hook. Bahupali holding to iron hooks running up the would climb to the top of the dam and hold the cows are pulled. Immediately open the barrier of the rivers rolling. Engulfed the invading army of 100,000 people. Bahupali approached the king. The king, in addition to being grateful, I want to know who you are and where you come from.